notice when you're scrolling on social media, especially TikTok and Instagram, that you always end up seeing the same person who has like the exact same hair, the exact same kind of cosmetic procedures, wearing the same outfit. They all sound the same. Trust me, you're not alone. Because it's crazy how everyone online now seems to be looking the same. I wanted to briefly vent about this because this is just something that I myself have observed when scrolling on social media, and I wanted to talk about it. Because I feel like it's proving that individuality online is becoming more and more dead, and I personally think that's a problem. I believe people should actually be able to truly express who they are, and I feel like these people who are starting to become carbon copies of each other are not actually genuinely being themselves. Everyone can make their own decisions, but at the same time, I think it's important that we don't act like we're all carbon copies of each other, because what a fucking boring world that is. And I'm going to give another disclaimer that everything I'm going to be talking about in this video is not bullying, okay? I am going to address in this video how many of these influencers that you see online have lip fillers, and just so we're clear, there's nothing wrong with getting cosmetic procedures. I've gotten my chin done, and I want to get under eye filler sometime this year. There's nothing wrong with wanting that, especially if it's going to make you feel better about yourself. But the thing is, I am going to be talking more about how people are getting the same kind of thing to look the same. And I just don't understand why everybody wants to look the same, and that's kind of the argument that I want people to take away from this video. So let's get into the first topic right now. I want to talk about the algorithm, especially on TikTok and Instagram. Whew, because let me tell you, the algorithm tends to reward the same thing over and over and over again. I've noticed that it rewards sameness, and again, how fucking boring is that? Algorithms tend to push things that are typically on trend, what's popular, anything that's just simply going to give them the most engagement, and that is how people get the most views on things. Right now on social media, beauty happens to be one of the biggest trending things that we will see on social media. I don't know about you, but I don't see that dying down anytime soon. I keep saying the same type of person on my For You page, no matter how hard I try to manipulate it. Basically, what I tend to see on my feed a lot is I get the same skinny blonde girl who is white, who has really bad lip filler, and she dresses the same. She has that clean girl aesthetic or that beige, plain, neutral aesthetic. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just that it's every single girl on this app. I swear to God, that's how it feels. And I don't even like to engage with that content. I always hit not interested, or I try to scroll past it, and I'm still getting that stuff popping up on my feed. But it just seems to be that the algorithm seems to find like this look that these beauty standards that are being promoted online tend to be rewarded. And I think that's due to pretty privilege. And again, pretty privilege is a whole other video topic that we could go into for another time. But what I do want to say about pretty privilege is that it is rewarded a ton on this app. Because pretty and good looking people is what draws in people and what gets the most views and engagement, which would lead more money to these apps. But here's the thing, if you don't fit these Eurocentric beauty standards of what people consider to be pretty privilege, there's a good chance that your videos may not perform as well. And that is just solely heartbreaking. And for those who don't meet those beauty standards, who will get higher engagement, usually it has to do with the fact that they did something funny, or they shared something really valuable. They have some sort of physical transformation, because again, the algorithm loves to talk about beauty and physical transformations. And if they show something that's pretty relatable. That's typically, again, what I've seen and just simply what I've observed. I'm not basing this off any data or science or statistics. It's just what I've observed, because when I do see people who don't fit beauty standards, they don't get as higher views, and when they do, it's because, again, they're doing something funny. They actually are sharing something valuable, or they have some sort of, like, physical transformation. That's something that I have noticed. And it's like, for someone who doesn't meet those requirements, because I certainly don't mold into those beauty standards, there's a reason why I do so shitty on TikTok. Like, sometimes I get an average of like 300 to 500 views per video, and I feel like sometimes I'll share valuable things. I've had some things do well, but most of the time, my videos don't do well because, again, I don't have that pretty privilege, even though I do think I'm pretty. I think I'm stunning, but again, I don't meet those Eurocentric beauty standards. And it's okay for me to admit that. Like, I'm not embarrassed or ashamed, but that is the truth, and that's probably why I suck on TikTok. So, but long story short, the algorithm doesn't really give a shit whether you're being unique or not. It is gonna reward sameness, and what's going to conform to what everyone else is doing. And that is just a pattern that I have constantly been seeing. And this is going to lead me into my next point about all influencers looking the same. So let's talk about that. Alex Earl is somebody who I feel like is a really good example of influencers looking the same. Alex Earl, I believe she blew up in like 2023 or 2022. It was a couple years ago. And she is this beautiful, skinny, blonde girl who looks like every single blonde influencer out there. She went to the University of Miami. I believe her family is from New Jersey. And let me tell you something. This woman is incredibly rich. She comes from a wealthy family already. Like, she was rich before she even became an influencer. Like, she is the definition of pretty privilege, rich influencer. She lives this lavish lifestyle of an influencer. But she gained a lot of popularity for her being said that she was relatable because she talked a lot about her acne journey and like her experiences and struggles with acne. And people are like, oh my God, some pretty girl has acne, therefore I relate to that. And I'm just rolling my eyes over here because I can guarantee you if it wasn't some skinny pretty blonde girl talking about their struggles with acne, I can guarantee you it probably would not do as well. I don't think Alex Earl is remotely relatable at all. That's why I rolled my eyes. I think she is just like every other top tier influencer out there, in my opinion. And people were labeling her as the it girl. And then there became more and more women who wanted to look like Alex, who wanted to dress like Alex, who wanted to be a spitting image of Alex Earl's personality and even sound like her. This is what I'm talking about. It's like when one big influencer blows up, they want to be just like her, and then the next person is going to be the next big influencer, and then it's just going to be this whole pattern of cycling over and over again, where we're going to have the same type of people just generating the same kind of blonde influencer with big lips every single time it happens. Another thing that this reminds me of is a couple months ago, there was a huge discussion online about New York City influencers being really bland and boring and how they all look the same. They're all blonde, they're all skinny, they all dress like they are a European girl, and they all kind of sound the same, and they all have vocal fry. And there was a lot of criticism behind that, and a lot of them did not take that backlash well at all, and they felt like they were being personally attacked. But I feel like it was just merely just an observation, and people are just kind of tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. My main point here that I wanted to bring with this is that once somebody online blows up, there's going to be a huge influx of wannabe influencers who are going to look up to that influencer. And again, they're going to want to be just like them. And that is how I believe we get so many carbon copies of the same influencer, because there is that influence of them sharing their looks, their wealth, their personality, their style, their fashion, their aesthetics. And people seem to be drawn to that, thinking like that's what they need to look like, that's how they need to act, dress, and look. And that's just simply not the case. But that is my theory on why it's happening. Another thing we see is that we all see the same aesthetics, editing styles, and fashion. I see all the time on social media is you see the same Shein haul, Amazon haul, or Zara haul. It's like these influencers don't shop anywhere else but these few stores. And it's kind of wild to me. So when it comes to fashion, as I mentioned earlier, it's always like a clean girl aesthetic or like a neutral aesthetic. You don't see anything fun with color. You don't see everything being completely styled. And I feel like we don't even really get to see a lot of alternative people out there. It's just a bunch of dumb micro trends that keep popping up. Because again, micro trends tend to do really well. And the algorithm rewards that consumption. And again, that is when everyone starts dressing the same. Because again, notice how it's only like Shein and Zara and Amazon that are flooding your For You pages or your Instagram feed. I try to get my algorithm to not show me that stuff because I don't shop at those places. Well, I mean, I've definitely shopped at Amazon, but Shein and Zara, absolutely not, never, ever, ever. So I don't want to keep seeing stuff like that. I want to see more people talking about thrifting and shopping more sustainably and promoting more sustainable and ethical fashion. But again, it's always the same blonde girl who looks just like every other blonde influencer out there, doing the same kind of haul, promoting the same kind of sense of style, and it's really exhausting to see. Please, I just want to see one person not wearing Shein or Zara. Please, 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 please. Why can't we branch away from that? There's so many amazing brands out there to go off and and explore, or better yet, thrift. Social media is absolutely lying to you on what you should be wearing. I have been a victim of falling for the trap. Like, for an example, social media convinced me that I needed a tan pea coat for the winter because it was important to have like a neutral item in your wardrobe. God, I felt like I was so lied to. Don't be wrong, I do like my pea coat jacket. It's cute, but I plan on dyeing it black soon because tan is just simply not in my color palette. And I feel like it kind of washes me out. And I realized just like the only neutral colors I want to wear are mostly black and sometimes white. Because again, neutral is just, it's not my aesthetic. I like to look dark. But I really am tired of seeing people on social media who don't look like me, who don't fit the beauty standard, who aren't blonde, who don't have lip filler, who aren't wearing nothing but neutral and clean girl aesthetics. And while yes, I do try to program my feed to give me more alternative looking people, there are going to still be so many of those influencers who are still going to slip through their cracks, and they're still going to be shared because sometimes you just can't work around the algorithm completely. I'm trying and I'm still trying, and you're just still going to see those kinds of people no matter what, I swear. And then the last point I want to make is I think people are also genuinely scared of trying to stick out on the internet. And this kind of triggers me because growing up, I always stood out from the norm. I was made fun of and bullied a ton for it, and even ridiculed for me marching to the beat of my own drum. And when I tried to fit in, like I remember I would try to wear Hollister and Abercrombie because that's what everybody else was wearing, I got made fun of for doing that too. It's like I couldn't win. And I only wanted to wear that because that's what everyone else was wearing, even though deep down inside, those clothes made me really uncomfortable and insecure about myself. I always wanted to dress like an emo kid, but then again, my mom wouldn't let me do that either. Again, I couldn't win, so I was stuck wearing things that just made me uncomfortable. And I just really hate how, like, standing out and not fitting into society can cause you to be a target of bullying, which is ridiculous. So people just think that it's safer to blend in and be just like everyone else. And I don't find that to be a good thing, in my opinion. I just feel like you can't look weird, you can't be out there, you can't be alternative, you can't wear no makeup or bold makeup looks because people are going to have something to say about it because that's not what they're doing, and it seems like you have to do what they're doing, and that's, again, wild and problematic. I'm just super convinced that the algorithm favors conformity because, again, that leads back to my first point where it rewards sameness, and I just hate everything about it. I just want to say, like, I do love social media. I think it's a powerful tool. It's a blessing, but it's also a huge curse at the same time. It just seems like everyone and their own mother is trying to go viral and have some sort of moment of their own when people can't just post for something that's going to bring value. I just see a lot of mindless posting for people who just want views for the sake of validation. Let me tell you something. When I started my YouTube channel, I didn't do it for the money. I made content because I genuinely wanted to influence people in a positive way. I wanted to make content based off of value and also help other people gain perspective that maybe they didn't once have before. And while, yes, my content is monetized, I can't even sustain myself financially with just my AdSense revenue from YouTube alone, and I don't take a lot of brand deals because I want to be authentic to my brand. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about sponsorships and I do sponsorships, but I'm so particular about what I choose to promote. Sorry, going back to my point is there's such a difference between like wanting vanity metrics, just again for validation and attention, and wanting a lot of views because you have something of substance to share that you want other people to hear. And I feel like that's what I'm trying to do. Yes, I want people to watch my content. I want my videos to get a lot of views. But I want to get lots of views for the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons, if that makes sense. I'm all about influencing people for the positive and not for the worse. And while sure, I have fallen into the trap of being pressured by influencers into buying things and then realizing later on that I don't need this, it happens, and guess what? I've learned from it, right? But just know you're not alone if you feel like you're imagining things that everyone's looking the same online, because you're not. They are. So I'm curious to know in the comments down below, have you ever once felt like your feed was all looking the same? Or if you ever felt like you caught yourself almost trying to look like influencers that you've seen online? Or if you felt like there was a style that you even saw in your algorithm that you didn't align with? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. And if you like this video, do make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!